So just a quick lesson on this piece by David Kellner. So this is originally for lute, and you can pick up the sheet music and tab off the website. It's for sale there, and you can just follow the link in the YouTube info section. And I did another piece just a little while ago, a rondo by Kellner as well. So I'm kind of putting a collection of Kellner pieces together, and this is another one in the collection. So just a couple of things to talk about in this piece. The opening of each section is fairly imitative, so there's some imitative counterpoint. So if you listen to the top voice, and then if you listen to the bottom voice, they sound the same, right? Different octaves, but they're very similar. And so when you put them together, so just be aware of that there's individual musical lines that you really need to maintain. So you might even want to practice just doing some sections, just one voice at a time, just so that you really understand what the musical voices are doing individually. And then when you combine them, you can be a little bit more interested in overall rhythm and whatnot, but you'll understand that there's two separate things happening. There's not too many difficulties in this piece. It's mostly in second position, so you just want to keep your left hand kind of in position and one finger per fret kind of stance. There's a couple of reaches and slurs, but pretty straightforward. All the trills I'm just doing from the upper auxiliary, so the first trill there is on a G sharp, so I'm starting on A. So just A, G sharp, A, G sharp. And you'll notice that sometimes when I go back to the theme, I mute out the bass string. So from there, see how my thumb went down on the A string there to mute it out so it doesn't just ring. Kind of like restarts the counterpoint of each section, so you just hear the top voice and then the lower voice entry into the texture. So it's kind of important to put your thumb on that note and just mute it out. And I would synchronize it with the first note on the fifth bar there. So you mute it at the same time you play a new note. That way you don't have like something just dropping out of the texture randomly, but it's happening at the same time as another note is emerging. So that way it's kind of seamless, musically speaking, but you do get a little bit of cleaning up of overlapping sustain. Maybe on the lute it wouldn't matter very much, but the modern guitar has so much sustain that it's worth muting it out. If you're more of on the early intermediate level, you might not want to worry about it too much, but otherwise you can try it out. In the second section, very similar. That's the top voice, the bottom voice. So it's very similar, right? So same idea. So there, that part's a really beautiful section, but just keep that fourth finger down and sustaining. You could bar a lot of this, but I like it with the open strings quite a bit. Now that's a tough shift. So that's at bar 13, 14, 15, 16, like from 15 into 16. So you're going, it's not too hard, but it's tough to connect that and make sure it's legato. So you just have to be really prepared, make sure you maybe memorize it or something. And don't shortchange your barred note. Even though you're gonna have to shift very quickly, just don't shortchange it. Make sure that you make it ring, because if you just get that note out into the room, it'll sustain and kind of carry on while you do the shift, and it'll create the illusion of legato, even though technically you do have to really shift away from that note. And then you just do it again. I added a couple little ornaments, like you probably noticed on the second time after the repeat. I did little trills. Usually around cadences, I like to do the trill from above because that increases the tension of the harmony. Because if you start from the note above, it's a non-chord tone. So that increases the tension, so that's good around cadences. And then in this other section though, when I'm just adding lots of like frilly little ornaments, I just go from the actual note to the upper one, then back, just because it's a little bit less intense, so you can throw more in and not be too dissonant with it since it's a Baroque kind of era piece. Besides that, just a couple of little things about the addition. In bar 4, just allow that B to sustain. I put it as a quarter note because it just looks a lot cleaner that way, but do let that B sustain. There's comments at the bottom of the page. You can see that I've added that when you get the music. In bar 18 and 23, that low E is editorial. The original goes. I've just thrown in lower E as well. Just to add, like, fills up the texture a little bit. And then all those ornaments, all those little things I did extra are all editorial, so all the trills and everything like that. In bar 3, you might have heard me just like add that extra upper auxiliary on the C or the appoggiatura. And then again, maybe in bar 5, 6, 7. And maybe again in bar 10, I think I did it. I'm not sure if I did it on that time, but you can add your ornamentation pretty freely, but if you're kind of unfamiliar with ornamentation, you might want to just follow what I've written on the score and what I did in the video, or just leave it. You don't really need it. If you listen to lute players play this particular piece, they don't add too much ornamentation to this one just because it is a little bit active. So I'll be doing 2 more pieces by Kellner. So I did the Rondeau and then this one, and then I'll be adding 2 more works, so it's kind of like a nice little set in A major. I think the jig, though, is in D major. No, it's in A as well, so they're all in A major. Or at least on the guitar they are. So I hope you enjoyed that, and you can get the sheet music off the website, and check out our other free sheet music and lessons.